Let's dive right in. First up, the SDI output on the DJI Ronin 4D expansion plate. For filmmakers like us, SDI is an essential feature, especially when we're relying on external monitors or recorders to get the job done. But here's the issue. The SDI output, some report that it's unreliable. But let's check this one out. So it looks like mine seems to work just fine. I'm not seeing any issues with mine. For professional filmmakers, SDI reliability isn't optional, it's a necessity. Whether you're shooting on set, live streaming an event, or running a multi-camera setup, you need a solid connection you can count on. So, what can we do in the meantime while DJI sorts this out? Here are a few potential workarounds that might help you avoid trouble on set. First, double check your cables. Use high quality shielded SDI cables to minimize any connection issues. Second, keep the expansion plate and your monitor connections clean and secure. Sometimes dust or loose connections can add to the problem. Lastly, have a backup plan. Using something like the DJI High Bright monitor could be useful on set. But let's be real, these are just stopgap measures. For a product at this price point, we shouldn't have to deal with these issues like this. DJI, we need a firmware update or a hardware revision to address these problems ASAP. Alright, let's move on to the next big issue with the DJI Ronin 4D expansion plate, the XLR audio inputs. Now, these are supposed to give us clean, professional grade audio, right? But sadly, that's not what we're getting. As filmmakers, we rely on crystal clear audio to tell our stories, whether it's capturing dialogue for a film, recording an interview, or handling live events. Audio can make or break a project, but with this expansion plate, it's been nothing but trouble. Take a listen to this. Notice the glitches, the dropouts? Imagine dealing with this during a critical shoot. Say, a wedding speech or a live interview. You can't ask people to redo those moments, and now you're left with unusable audio. I've tried everything to troubleshoot this. Purchased another expansion plate, different XLR cables, different microphones, even tweaking the audio settings on the Ronin 4D itself. And while some adjustments seem to reduce the issue temporarily, nothing fully fixes the problem. The problem here isn't just the inconvenience, it's the impact on post-production. If your audio drops out mid-recording, there's no fixing that in post. You're either spending hours trying to salvage what you can, or reshooting entirely, if that's even an option. And I'm not alone in this. Check out these stories from other filmmakers who face the same problems. One user mentioned audio cutting out during an entire panel discussion. Can you imagine that? It's frustrating because XLR inputs are a key selling point for this expansion plate. When they don't work, it's not just a flaw, it's a failure to deliver on its promise. So what can we do in the meantime? Here's a few tips to minimize the risk while we wait for DJI to step up and address this. First, test your audio setup thoroughly before every shoot. It's extra work, but catching these issues early can save you a headache later. Second, have a backup recorder. Even a portable audio device can be a lifesaver if the XLR input fails. Finally, consider using the 3.5mm mic input on the Ronin 4D as a backup option. It's not ideal, but it's better than no audio at all. Look, I still believe in the Ronin 4D as an incredible tool, but if DJI wants this expansion plate to live up to its potential, these issues have to be fixed. Firmware updates might help, but it's starting to feel like the hardware itself needs an overhaul. Alright, let's talk about one of the most critical features for multi-camera setups, timecode sync. When it works, it's a lifesaver. It keeps everything aligned, makes editing a breeze, and saves hours in post-production. But when it doesn't, here's the setup. Timecode syncing the Ronin 4D with another camera or audio recorder. Sounds simple, right? Let's see whether or not if this feature works as it should. So it looks like my timecode sync works pretty well on the expansion plate. No issues here. Now imagine if this didn't work. You're left manually fixing hours of footage, trying to sync everything up frame by frame. It's a tedious, time-consuming process that defeats the purpose of having timecode in the first place. Timecode issues just don't slow you down. They can derail an entire project. Complex shoots rely on precise syncing, especially when you're working with multiple cameras, external audio recorders, or live broadcast setups. When timecode fails, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a major problem. For anyone who's ever had to manually align footage, you know exactly how frustrating this can be. So, what can we do about it? Here are a few tips to minimize the pain while DJI works on a solution. Double check your connections. Make sure all cables are secured and compatible with timecode syncing. Test the sync before starting your shoot. Run a quick test to confirm everything's aligned before you roll. Consider using external timecode generators. While it's not ideal to rely on additional gear, it might be the most reliable option for now. Here's the thing, the Ronin 4D is an incredible tool, but for it to reach its full potential, every accessory has to work flawlessly. DJI, we need more reliable firmware updates or even hardware fixes to address these issues. Alright, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. We've talked about the issues with the SDI, XLR, and timecode syncing, but these aren't just minor quirks. They're major roadblocks for professional workflows, and they're impacting filmmakers across the board. Let's recap. The SDI output, mine works fairly well. No issues there. But my XLR, it seems glitchy, it's making it hard to capture clean professional audio. And the timecode sync, that worked pretty fine on mine as well. These aren't just inconveniences, they're deal breakers for filmmakers who rely on the Ronin 4D for high-stake projects. And I'm not the only one feeling this frustration. The Ronin 4D community has been vocal about these problems. Look at this, users reporting SDI signal drops, unreliable audio, and endless issues with the timecode sync. It's clear we're not just dealing with isolated cases. This is a widespread problem that needs real solutions. DJI, it's time to step up. Here's what we need: transparency, better customer support, and hardware fixes. Firmware updates alone aren't cutting it. We need solutions that address the root of these problems, not just temporary patches. As filmmakers, we've invested in our products because we believe in their potential. But to make the Ronin 4D and its expansion plate truly reliable, we need you to meet us halfway. Alright folks, let's wrap this up. Despite the challenges we've talked about today, I want to say this. The DJI Ronin 4D is still an incredible piece of technology. Its innovative design and groundbreaking features have truly set a standard in filmmaking. But here's the thing. For the Ronin 4D to reach its full potential, every accessory, like this expansion plate, needs to perform at the same level. Right now, it's falling short, but I believe it can get there with the right fixes. Now, I want to hear from you. What's been your experience with the expansion plate? Are you facing the same issues with SDI, XLR, or timecode? Or have you found workarounds? Let me know in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation going. And if you found solutions that work for you, don't keep them to yourself. Help out the Ronin 4D community. That's what this channel is all about, learning and growing together. DJI, if you're watching, we're rooting for you. Help us out. Let's make the Ronin 4D system the powerhouse it deserves to be. We know you can do it. Creators, thank you so much for watching and sticking with me through this video. If you found this helpful or reliable, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more honest reviews, filmmaking tips, and behind the scenes content. And don't miss my next video. I've got some exciting projects coming up, including tips for maximizing the Ronin 4D's strengths and exploring new gear for indie filmmakers. You won't want to miss it. Until next time, keep creating and pushing boundaries. See you in the next one.